So, thank you very much for joining us and sticking around to the end of the day. Now, this is how many events have you been on your world tour so far?
So I guess about seven so far, but in the middle.
Yeah. This is your hump. You're midway through at the moment.
Hump day, yeah.
I'm interested about the kind of themes. I mean, obviously, you guys are all very active on Twitter as well, and we get the questions coming in from the audience and so on. I'm interested about the kind of feedback that you've been getting in terms of maybe some of the questions that you get asked quite a lot, stuff that we don't get a chance to talk about during the course of the day. Very common themes for you, Rufus, that people have been bringing up.
One very common one is, when can I get it?
Right. Okay.
And otherwise, I get a lot of tweets also about questions about Typekit, questions about this whole Creative Cloud integration.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the sort of things that I get.
Funnily enough, one of the questions that I did scribble down from Twitter earlier on actually relates to Typekit, and I don't know if you, Paul, are able to answer it, but it is what happens to desktop Typekit fonts when you leave Creative Cloud?
All right, that's a good question. So, poof.
Okay.
Yes, when you end your membership of Creative Cloud, of course, you also terminate the service of Typekit.
Okay.
So the same thing goes for web fonts and desktop fonts. And if you want to continue using them, well, you either purchase them from the vendors to have them in, as a material copy. And the same thing goes for Typekit. If you want to continue using Typekit fonts without Creative Cloud membership, well, then you have to subscribe separately and to have this sort of, membership with Typekit directly.
Now, in terms of assuming you've either gone directly or you are still subscribed, whereabouts can you actually use these fonts? Are there any limitations licensing-wise?
Well, there's the normal licensing that we've always had. You can't distribute them, and we always say that. Also when you package an InDesign document, there's always that window that comes up that says, these are licensed fonts. Do you have the rights to do that? But then there's always that little checkbox at the bottom left, that you can say never show again, and that's what people usually do. But yes, the licensing, you can of course embed the fonts in a PDF that you would send to your printer, and of course these fonts would remain embedded in there even after you leave Creative Cloud. So PDFs are at no risk.
Sure.
And in the case of InDesign, if you create an InDesign package, the fonts are already packaged in that package as well.
Encapsulated,
yes,
right? Yes. Okay. Oh, good stuff. Thank you very much for clearing that up. Now, something else. It's not a question on Twitter. I wish someone had have asked it, but they haven't. And it's kind of two things, because I actually think I know where this is going. But Flash, obviously Adobe, very big relationship with Flash. But gaming. Now, games is something we've not talked about hugely during the course of today, but I know a lot of people who work in the creative industries are very much involved in games and bringing more interactivity to the work. In fact, when we were speaking with Richard earlier on, he was talking very, very much about that. So Flash as a product, its use is changing. And is it gaming where this is starting to come out more?
Yes, and it's actually just broadening as well. Because sure, I can output SWF, I can now output HTML. When it comes to SWF or packaging up any Flash content, I could easily distribute that as an app. So it becomes this platform for distributing content,
so
whatever it is.
It will work on tablet devices?
It will work on that. I can make an app right for that iPad. Wow. And it lends itself well to gaming because it does a good job of processing graphics and fast. Again, on the GPU, we can have those accelerated graphics, and it's just a really rich platform for creation. So it just lends itself well to that. But it doesn't have to be specifically gaming, could be anything. But we also know that there's a generation of people out there that have created banners and ads and different things like that. So we still have that as well, being able to output that as HTML. Right. Really straightforward. I wish, and I mentioned this earlier, but it's rebuilt from the ground up. So you haven't heard a lot about Flash Professional because we've been busy rebuilding it from the ground up for the past year and a half. Dark Gray.
It's interesting because I think there is a perception thing, certainly. Flash has had a bit of bad press, and particularly with the video kind of element of Flash kind of being phased out in favor of standard supported stuff. Yet you guys have still invested a lot of time and money into redeveloping Flash as a platform and as an application.
Yeah, and it's still definitely, it has a strong place in a lot of these areas because largely the DRM support you still have, the digital rights management with, say, Flash video. Again, it's nice that I can use a video tag, easily drop it in on a page for HTML, but have that protected. Flash still does an exceptional job in that area.
Jason, we were chatting earlier on about standards, about 1080p, about 2K, 4K. Hey, 8K.
8K.
Is that something that we should be sort of beefing up our PCs and our Macs and our desktops to be able to cope with, and can Premiere and After Effects and Photoshop as well sort of work with 4K footage right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the nice thing, and that's something that we've been able to do, especially in Premiere and After Effects for quite some time, which is really handle these formats, which are today now, right, so beyond HD, 1080p, 2K, Ultra HD, which is 4K now. Yes, these are completely supported natively. In Premiere Pro, you can go up to 10,000 pixels, 10K if you wanted to do that.
That's going to be a big telly, isn't it?
That'll be a big television. And again, yes, 8K it's a wonderful thought and a wonderful promise. And if you have a screen like this in your house and can be 15 meters back, that's the way to watch 8K, so that you can really see and appreciate the definition. But what we've really done again in this release to bring all those elements together, because of course many who are creating this content are not necessarily creating it directly inside the Creative Cloud ecosystem, is that we've added more integration with our partners and competitors so that you can actually integrate and augment those workflows together. So one of the really nice things that I didn't get to mention earlier was that we now have native support on the Mac and PC for Avid DNX HD MXF. So that now ships with Premiere Pro. It can be accessed in Prelude. It can be accessed in the Media Encoder, import and export. And on the Mac side, we also now give you ProRes, a transcode standard, which is absolutely.
That's with CC, I take it.
That's with CC.
Okay.
So yes, and import export on the Mac only. We can import on the PC, but unfortunately, licensing things, we can't actually we can't export that directly from.
But you can use it as an intermediary format from Prelude.
Absolutely, and the crazy thing that we've actually seen people do, which seems odd, but you could be collaborating with someone who's working, let's say, in that other NLE, and they could deliver an XML with ProRes content to a Windows user who's using CC. And they can import that XML and use that ProRes content and cut and finish and do those other things, and then send an XML back to the other editor, and the workflow continues.
It strikes me, certainly with Photoshop and some of the web stuff, Photoshop's very much the jewel in the crown. And there are competitors, but I guess there isn't as much of a call for for being able to import and export to external products. But when it comes to Premiere, obviously there are a couple of other very strong players in the game as well. And it's interesting that rather than kind of keeping them at arm's length, from what you're just telling me there, by enabling the codecs, you're actually kind of welcoming.
Absolutely. I've said it here, and I made the joke earlier today many times, almost in an exhausting way, that it can come off very salesy, right? That yes, we're integrating all these things together, but we are. The fact that we've done a lot of work in Premiere Pro CC. So for those of you who use Avid, you're going to notice that the AAF support is much better, faster, more efficient. Relinking, again, faster, more efficient. In the previous version, we added Pro Import to After Effects, which allows you to, again, import AAF and XML and spit it back out ultimately. So really, we see that, again, on the video side especially, CC is a way to augment. Certainly in the short term, obviously, we want you to be editing in Premiere, but you can't guarantee that everyone everywhere is going to be doing that, and we see that. And that's why a lot of the feedback we solicited about particular new features, updates, and things were based on, well, I'm working in this platform and I like what they do. If you did that, maybe we'd come over to you too.
I guess particularly with After Effects, that's something that does tend to get used with other products quite a lot as well. That's kind of a standalone or a standout product in the video production suite.
Absolutely. Often regardless of where the cut is done, After Effects tends to be a very common thread in most of all those workflows. And again, that's why we kind of added all this functionality to be able to bring in those sequences, compositions from other apps to just continue the workflow. And then, of course, now you have the ability particularly on the Mac side, but on the PC side as well, to export them to all these standard formats that people use.
I've got kind of two questions that I want to cover. And the first thing is perhaps just a little bit of clarification for me. I mean, I started using Dreamweaver before it was an Adobe product. And something that we've seen today with the Edge Reflow, the Edge Animate, the Edge Code is a lot of duplication, I think, between the stuff that we see in Dreamweaver and then all of a sudden we're seeing these other tools as well. So should we be just using the Edge product or Muse products, or should we be using Dreamweaver, or is there a natural workflow between all of them?
The answer is yes. No. Use them all.
You know what I mean, though? Because it seems as though you've kind of broken out some of the components that used to be integrated all within Dreamweaver and made them all kind of, not standalone, that's not, but kind of different parts of the suite now.
Yeah, so it's the whole idea of you being able to, if you're using maybe even a text editor, we know you're using that text editor, not geared towards, say, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. We said, hey, can we give you something specific? We know you don't want maybe all those panels, the new Css Designer Panel. Let's just give you the code view, which is what Edge Code does. It does one thing, does it really well. So you have these products that do one thing and they do it really well, and that's what we're after. But still, like Dreamweaver is our all-in-one program. I didn't even get a chance to publish an app from it, but again, giving you that
I used to use Dreamweaver, literally just the code editor in there. I didn't use any of the other stuff. It was literally a text editor for me, but I felt as though I should be using it because that's the app to use.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean it's great having again that code view and that design view. And what I showed today was a perfect workflow. Whether you're starting out, developers in the audience didn't get a chance to again show Edge Code and what you can do there. Just your code view, which you'd probably gravitate more toward now.
Sure. Yeah, and I think another important point is with these Edge tools and services is that the development is so rapid, and the applications being separated allows for more rapid development in these areas.
And I guess acknowledging different roles that you play when you're collaborating on a project as well. Literally, very, very quickly, we're down to our last minute. Question, and I'm afraid I didn't make a note of who asked the question, but someone was asking very quickly about how the team work, the kind of team collaboration stuff and the team accounts and being able to share out your subscriptions and stuff to members. Very briefly, has anyone got like a 30-second, this is how it works for Teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's an admin panel being able to designate who gets sort of what file folder, whatever, as far as what space you get. But you're able to, take away, say, membership from somebody, say, a contractor that you might have worked with. It's like they don't go running off with their files and their ID.
Right.
You have control over that, which is awesome. And again, sharing folders, stuff like that is just really, really awesome being able to do that.
Yeah, and the team version also has that centralized billing and administration of this whole process. So it makes it easy for teams to manage this software licensing in the end.
Well, that was something that struck me as a freelancer. I'm a freelance video editor amongst other things, and I remember I was on CS5 on my Macs at home, and I was working with a company who was on CS 5.5, and it's like, oh God, what do I do? I'm only going to be working on the project for 2 weeks. Right. Well, I just did the 30-day trial version for that. But now, no. It got me through it, and then now I'm a full Creative Cloud member, and it's all good. But I think that the way where you are now and how it was illustrated in the case study earlier on is the fact that that's no longer going to be a problem. If you're an agency, you'll be able to share out your licenses, whoever needs them for however long, and I think that's again something that's really interesting and really practical. Terrific. Well, guys, once again, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Have a wonderful time in, is it Barcelona?
Barcelona.
Next. When are you off there?
Tomorrow.
6 a.m.
Early morning flight, yes.
No rest for the wicked.
Oh, no.
Goodness me, it's been really evil in a previous life.
It's all coming back, the karma. Yeah.
Right, so one more time, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm London welcome. Thank you to Paul, Jason, and Rufus. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Take care.